I think there's no drawback of fighting in Vegas. If it was up to me, I'd fight in Vegas every time. I've enjoyed my trips to other cities. I get to see things. I mean, I really was a fan of Indianapolis. I thought it was a beautiful place, but I mean, let's face it, I was born and raised here. I got my family, kids, they all come in here. It's my house. The night before the fight, I like the fact I'm sleeping in my bedroom, in my room, in my house, and I get to drive down to work. I find it pleasant, you know. I don't have to sit there and worry about, you know, well, what place is open, where am I going to get my food, do they serve this kind of just go out there and fight. I prefer it every time.
Your thoughts on the heavyweight division and what this victory could mean?
Well, I think that right now, I mean, I'm taking the opportunity that, you know, what happened with the main event a couple weeks ago is I think catapulted to Roy and I are much more highlighted in this fight now on Saturday. Also with, you know, obviously, you know, what has happened with Lesnar, you know, very unfortunate, but at the same time it does, you know, raise to question, you know, how much sooner. I think now, in my opinion, I think that now we are getting a true who the #1 contender is in a fight, you know, on June 11th between Shane Carwin and Junior Dos Santos. I figure the winner of that match is very deserving. I don't think anybody can argue that they are not the #1 contenders. And I think the fight this Saturday between Roy and myself now puts us in the #2 spot, where whoever wins between us, you know, I might have to fight one more time after Saturday to take up time, because obviously they're going to set up the fight with Kane and the winner of that fight. But I feel that right now that puts us right there, steamrolling into it.
For Frank also, do you enjoy training for fights when there's an animosity between you and the other fighter? I mean, does it make it easier? Clearly this time there wasn't, other than the gym stuff and the trunk.
No, I mean, it does make it a little bit easier as far as when we talk about the fight to build it up. I have a lot of mutual friends and family members that at times, Roy and I get it, that they don't understand it. But as far as when it comes down to the fight, I think the hard time I think a lot of people find with fighters is that if my wife were to get in the ring, just no problem, right? That would flip the switch instantly. I don't think that would be anything. You know, we don't have that, but that's what makes it to where we're up here. Roy and I are friends before the fight. I don't care. You know, I like the guy a lot. And after the fight, as long as there's nothing done inappropriately, like a choke being held after the bell gets wrong, which neither one of us have ever done anything like that, we'll be friends afterwards, regardless of the outcome. But during that fight, it doesn't matter that we didn't like each other beforehand. Trust me, Roy's going to try to knock my head off. I'm going to try to knock his head off. And if I can catch him in a choke, I want him to go to sleep. And I guarantee you he would like to take my arm and put it on his mantle. I've never tapped in a submission competition, and I've never tapped in the UFC. I'm sure he would like to be the first one to create that happening.
And when you were fighting Brock, there was a lot made of the fact that you gained a lot of weight. You were 265. Can you give us a preview as to how much you'll weigh on Friday?
I'm going to go right to the limit, just 265.
So you're still feeling that being bigger is better right now in the UFC?
No, I just think I don't really care so much about the weight. It's a number on a scale. Right now, I just try to be as efficient as possible in the gym. You know, if I'm doing ring circles and I'm lumbering around, it doesn't matter if I weigh 250, I'm lumbering around. You have to just be efficient and make sure that you're fighting appropriately. You know, James Gifford, my boxing coach and head coach, you know, he's been around boxing a long time, and you know, I value his opinion. If he sees something's not working for me, I don't look at it like, well, it's a number on a scale, it's why I'm not doing well. I don't consume myself with it anymore. I think that being strong, fast are great attributes, but technique is still king.
I've been saying that for years.
All right, there was no reason to manufacture any animosity for the fight. But sometimes we see guys get in the cage that are friendly, and the fight doesn't really pan out because they're too busy, you know, high-fiving and smiling and glove touching and hugging and that sort of thing. Is there any danger, and we'll start with you, Roy, of this fight playing out that way, or is there a different mentality you take to the cage?
Well, I think one thing that everybody's missing is this is a sport first. So it's like playing basketball, football, you know, we're martial artists. So we're going out there to, you know, put on a show and basically have a job. So like the animosity, are we going to be hugging? Because we might be hugging afterwards, like, good job, whatever. But we're not going to be hugging before, because that's not what you do before a match, or you don't really see that during basketball either. When this is the playoffs, it's the playoffs. You know, we're going out there to win.
Frank, take care. Tommy, you touched a little bit on flipping the switch.
I was just curious, when does the hugging stop? No, he's absolutely right. I mean, that's what I've been trying to explain to everybody. I don't need to fake it and build up this, that I don't dislike you. I think maybe that's what people have a hard time understanding, is that I don't have to dislike you to want to punch you. if it's my job to do that on that given day. It's the same thing as a football tackle. I watched John Lynch knock out his brother-in-law in a football game. It was tight end. I'm telling you, that was going to be a rough Christmas. I'm sure before the game and after the game, they were cool with each other, but when his brother-in-law came over to the middle, Lynch put the helmet to him, and he put him out. He had to leave the game. That's just the way it is. It's a sport. I don't think it's any different than any athletic endeavor. Basketball, football, hockey, you name it. There's that moment where you're in the locker room and it's time to go. It's time to compete. I'm not thinking about how my opponent's going to feel after the fight or anything like that. You're my opponent now. You're no longer Roy. I'm not longer going to be frank to him. I'm the guy who's trying to take, money out of my pocket. That's an issue now. If someone tried to rob you for half your paycheck, you wouldn't be hugging or touching them during the fight. You'd be pretty upset about the situation. But after it's done, you put things back into perspective where I realize, oh yeah, well, he's getting paid to do the same, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, I have more obligation to my children going to private school than I do putting anybody else's kids in private school.
Will you be staying or sleeping at your houses the night before the fight, or will you come and separate yourself from whatever chaos might be going on at home the night before?
If I don't have my kids jumping up and down on my chest while I'm trying to sleep, I don't know how I would cope with that. The room would be too silent. So I'll be here at my house.